The absolute perfect project.
Exactly. That's why our customer liked it for this reason. How would I talk to an agent or a customer about this particular project? In a good city with good school districts, you can't lose money doing something like this. It's very hard to lose money or a few things when we start a project like this. When a customer brings us to see a project like this and evaluate it. So welcome to another one of our projects. Here, our customer just bought this beautiful lot. It's a big 1 acre lot. It has an existing home that's behind me. It has a swimming pool that's further behind the home and lots of other land within the lot. So our customer wants us to demolish the home, demolish the pool, build a new home to their specifications, of course, and also build a tennis court. So in the coming weeks and months, we'll be working on the design aspects of it with an architect, get all the reports done. And after all that is done and the project is permitted by the city, we'll start construction. So hopefully you'll stay with us throughout the life cycle of this project, and we'll keep recording videos from the very start to the very finish of a beautiful home.
Do you know how they found this deal?
This was on MLS.
Okay.
So everyone had access to this deal. The customers were working with a realtor who I recommended to them. I've been working with him on many deals. He's very busy, very active. And basically he kept looking and he sent this customer to 3 or 4 different projects like this with old homes, big lots. Basically the customer was clear about what they wanted. So the agent filtered through what was available and sent the customer to specific lots, and then the customer involved me and I went with the customer to all these lots and gave them my guidance. So that's how they settled up on this project. But there are other projects like this that are available in the city and they're on MLS, so anyone can get those. Locations like these are suitable to build on for a bunch of reasons. First of all, there's an existing home here. So it has been proven to the city in the past that one can build a home here. Number 2, if you look at the street and the adjoining properties, all the utilities are available here. Electricity, gas, sewer, water, everything is here. So it saves our customer money in terms of getting new utility connections. Thirdly, because it's right next to the road and it's not a busy road, it's an inner city road, and because the slopes are all reasonably flat, we don't have issues with the fire department getting a fire truck or the city getting an ambulance here. So those are all red flags that get removed from a project like this, as opposed to some of the other projects that we've been visiting. So from that perspective, it's an easier project to get permitted. Therefore, it doesn't take us as long in the permitting process, and therefore we can start construction a little sooner. But let's say they bought the lot for X number of dollars, and let's say they want to build it for Y number of dollars. And then there are holding costs such as interest payments on the land loan, such as tax payments while they build the project. And then there are initial fees that have to be paid to various engineers, the architect, as well as the permit fees to the city. So you put all that together, and of course the construction cost, that becomes a project cost. And let's say this whole process takes 2.5 years. The customer's assumption is over a period of 2 to 2.5 years, demolishing this old home, building a beautiful modern new home, the project will be worth more than all these costs combined. And what we look at today are what are called comparables, or the comps. We can look at properties nearby and say, how much are these worth, for what square footage, when were they built, and then if we have a brand new home, this is the minimum it should fetch in today's dollars. So we can project that out, including the time value of money, and figure out what will be worth in 2.5 years or so, and we can make a reasonably good estimate. I should also tell you, in a good city with good school districts, you can't lose money doing something like this. It's very hard to lose money. This home will be worth more than the neighboring properties because it will be brand new, built to the latest codes, and a wonderful design. In terms of percentages, I would say 20 to 30% they will add equity, as opposed to buying a home of a similar square footage somewhere else. They will build for X dollars a square foot. The neighboring properties are selling for at least 1.5 times to 2 times that number. That's where they add equity. But then they also have to pay with the holding costs and these soft costs, architect fees, engineers fees, and all that. So it's not exactly a 2x multiple, but still they're pretty much guaranteed to make money if they were to turn around and sell the project right away. As you look at land, as you look at the cost of construction, always have that multiple in mind. What are the neighboring properties selling for in terms of dollars per square foot? And you can make this simple spreadsheet that has a soft cost and the hard cost, figure out what your dollar per square foot number is, and you can convince yourself in a good city, you just can't lose money. If you need that spreadsheet, contact us, we'll give you that spreadsheet. We've been to at least 3 or 4 of these lots in the last 30 days, I would say. Now, some of them are like the one we just came from, where you have to drive in total darkness on an arrow, but this is one of those where you don't have to.
I mean, this seems like the absolute perfect project.
Exactly. That's why our customer liked it for this reason. It's a seasonal creek.
Kamal and his creek.
Kamal and his creek. And I do have a creek through my property as well. Absolutely. So the question was, how would I talk to an agent or a customer about this particular project? What we look for are a few things when we start a project like this. When a customer brings us to see a project like this and evaluate it, we look for how easy it is to build there. The more complicated it is, the more expensive it is. We've been to projects where the soil is of a condition where we have to remove 35-foot height of soil and replace it with fresh soil and compact it. Imagine the cost of doing that over a large piece of land. They're crazy projects like that, or they're projects where we have to carve out flat pads for the house, for the garage, maybe a second story, build retaining walls. All that stuff adds or can add millions to the cost of a project. Then we come to a project like this where we see the lot is mostly flat. There's not any carving out of a mountain that we have to do. We don't have to build those expensive retaining walls, so the customer saves money. We basically demolish the home and we replace it. Then we check for utilities. Are there utilities at the lot? Do we have to build a septic tank, which costs money? If the utilities are there, if city sewer is there, a water connection is there, it's all there. We don't have to do it. Then what we look for are in the disclosures, are there any red flags? We look for whether there's an existing plan, whether the plan has gone through planning approval by the city, where the plan is complete with structural drawings and everything else, and it's gone through building approval and was a permit issued in the past, is a permit ready to be issued now. So we look at all those things. The more work that has been done, the more reports that have been produced, our customer saves money and time because all this work has been done already. Instead of taking 2 years for permitting, the project may only need 9 months to a year for permitting. So that's a guideline and guidance I provide to my customers when we visit a lot like this. Now we have to start from scratch. Let's describe a number of things we need to put together as a permit package that we have to submit to the city. We of course need architectural drawings, we need structural drawings, we need Title 24 energy calculations. In addition to all that, we need a soils report, we need a survey, we basically need a will serve letter from the water company showing that at the nearest fire hydrant there's enough water pressure to support a fire truck extinguishing fire at this house. We have to get all those reports done. In some cases we have to get approval from neighbors. In some cases, if there's some exceptions, we may have to go in front of the planning council. All this stuff has to be done before the city says, okay, now you erect story poles, and you probably have seen them at some projects. That's orange plastic in front of the houses. So they basically designate the height and the size and dimensions of the structure, and neighbors get to provide feedback to the city. Once the story poles are erected, there's a certain period during which neighbors can provide feedback. As long as you're complying with the city rules, the city will still permit the project even if some neighbors object. So basically all these reports combined with the drawings, that completes our package for the permitting process, and then we get permits. So just getting all these reports together could take you 6 months to 9 months, and then getting through the permitting process another 9 months to a year, and only then can we start construction. For the timeline of construction, no two projects are equal. In one project, and let's say we're building homes of the same size on 2 different projects. One project requires us to cut into a hillside, provide access. That'll take longer because now we need to maybe excavate dirt, maybe export dirt and build access and build a road and all that. In a different project like this one, we don't have to cut through the hillside. We basically can start building on a flat piece of land. So we save immediately 3 to 4 months doing A versus B. And then as we build the homes, I would say on average a year and a half to do construction of a home that's 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. And then that assumes that all the finished material can be sourced and decided upon expeditiously. We don't have to wait for the customer to decide. They can start deciding and looking at options as we start the project. So by the time we are ready to install the finished material, flooring, cabinets, appliances, vanities, all these things that basically constitutes finished materials. So if those decisions are made expeditiously, we don't have to wait at the tail end of the project when those things are installed. That's often enough the timeline we discuss, typically a year and a half. If the decisions are made slowly or if changes are made, you have to send revised plans back to the city. So each change could cost you 3 months just through the city's approval process. In the year and a half timeline, we assume that there are no changes. If you make changes, especially if they require city approval, now it takes much longer.
So what does financing look like for a project like this usually?
Again, let's look at two different projects. One project is where a customer buys a piece of land and wants to build on it. The risk from a lender's perspective is different there than on a project which has an existing home that you want to demolish and build upon. So financing is slightly different on both of them. The lender may require a bigger down payment on the first one because you have land. They want you to have skin in the game with more equity. So they may ask you to add all the project costs, which include soft costs, hard costs, carrying costs, and they may want you to put down 20 to 30% of that number. That's your equity in the project before they lend. In the second case, where there's an existing home that you want to demolish and build, the lenders are slightly more generous because they consider this to be a lower risk project. So that's a contrast between buying a piece of land and buying a piece of land with an existing house on it. I love working on projects like these. You see where we start and then you'll see where we finish. We build beautiful houses like these starting from something like that. If you're a homeowner or an agent and you want us to evaluate one of your projects, starting from the design stage to permitting as well as construction, we'll be happy to meet with you and give you some insights on your project. You can book a call with the link down below. Feel free to contact Kamal the Builder. We'd love to work with you.